Hi, this is Nancy at Wilbur's, and we are here today. We're going to talk about color. And color, for some people, can be a little scary when you're choosing a color or learning how to combine colors. But we have a few simple guidelines that we hope will make it easier for you to think about color and when you're combining colors. Now, there is a famous designer. His name was David Hicks. I believe he was English. And he said, and I quote, "There are a loose set of rules that when applied to color cannot fail. And that is that all reds go together, all pinks go together, all blues, browns, yellows, and greens go together." And what he meant by that was that colors from a single family can kind of all blend effortlessly and without being too matchy-matchy. And we're going to show you some examples of that in our next segment. Okay, I am going to show you now what David Hicks meant by colors from a single family all blend together. And I'm going to do it with these green samples that I have here in front of me. And I have, to start out, just kind of this pine green. It's a little bit of a cool color, a little warmer, with green with a little bit of kind of a yellow cast to it. And then there's this little softer green that has a little brown mixed with it. And you can see they all kind of blend together. They're not terribly exciting that way. That's where I like to kind of step it up a little bit and add something that kind of ties them all together. And you can do that with a print fabric in a different color, maybe like this pastel floral. And you can see it has all these shades of green in it, and to me, that's the piece that ties all your greens together. Now you can, if you don't like pastel floral, you can always go with a little brighter stripe. Now this one has some rust in it, has that little sort of pine green stripe. Still looks good with all the greens. And it's kind of just the piece that pulls it together. And that's what you can do with some of your accessory pieces like pillows, rugs, pictures. There's another example that has a little bit more, well, the background's kind of a green, if you will. It has a little bit of sort of green shades in it. Kind of punched it up a little bit with the deeper navy and brown tones in it. Still looks good with all those greens there by itself, but as a group too. So that's kind of what he was getting at, is that all your greens, all your blues, all your reds go together, and you shouldn't be afraid to mix them. So what if you're starting at the beginning and you have to choose a color? How do you choose a color? A good way to choose a color is to use a rug, a painting. Really, it can be anything in your home, as long as it's a combination of colors that you love. I chose my living room colors from a coffee cup. It was just a combination I really liked. I just loved those colors, and so that's what I went with, and it worked out. It worked great. I think another way to look at color is to go with a neutral color scheme. If you're not a big fan of a lot of competing colors, choosing a palette that is kind of all in the same neutral tones, like these that I have on the table. Sometimes when we talk about neutral colors, we say, well, it's going to look like oatmeal. Well, oatmeal, the one good thing about that is it has a lot of texture to it. And when you're combining neutral colors, sometimes texture is a really good way to bring interest to your color palette. Now these three samples of beige, if you will, the one is a very flat, smooth surface. This one has a little more texture to it, and the back one has more texture yet. And so that adds interest to a beige color palette. And another thing about neutrals is that your accessories and your furnishings then are kind of the stars of your room, because your colors aren't competing with them. So it kind of makes everything else stand out. This is an example of a typical kind of a room arrangement that we do at Wilbur's. We did the green theme with this one. The walls a light yellow-green. We mixed in the green sofa. The picture picks up all those different green shades. The table comes in with a little darker green in the slate. I think it works well together. And just one example of the many styles that we have available. And if you're having trouble with color, then definitely trust Wilbur's Furniture Professionals to help you.